We're in the talking head mode. Okay, so first off, we're going to talk about the fact that obviously we do daily quests, and that's where I do some quick picks. Okay, lead off with some easy quests. Right, something simple. For those who are fans of World of Warcraft, Leroy Jenkins is now 15 years old. Leroy Jenkins. So I actually happened to have watched a not making it up, but a behind the scenes. I did not know that was created specifically to be a viral event.
Oh, really?
That's what I said, and like they actually planned that. This guy who's doing Leroy, it was always the plan for him to jump in and do that. And I'm like, wait a minute, it's kind of lost
Really?
its luster when you find out that it wasn't
I
some guy going
know.
in.
Wow. That kind
Uh,
is disappointing. It's like a ruined childhood now.
For me, when I found out that it was all a staged event, I was like you, I was a little bit disappointed, but it's still fun because I can completely relate. There are actually Leroy Jenkins out there in the world.
Oh yeah,
That's true.
that's fair enough.
I seem to run into them quite often, even 15 years later. So it's still, it's not as great as it would have been if they would have just kept it under wraps that
Yeah.
it was faked. But it still is a great piece of history for us MMOers, and
Absolutely.
it doesn't get devalued in that way. That anytime you hear Leroy Jenkins, you immediately, or I do anyway, get a smile on your face, remembering the good old days.
Yep.
Even with the Leroy Jenkins, real people out there.
Yeah, it's true.
It does for me though. Like I legit didn't know until now. It's like finding out Santa Claus isn't real or something.
Oh, what?
Not quite like that. That's the extra point. I mean, it's always like I said. We know of people who do that. Who do the stupid stuff. And I always thought that was all about was Leroy Jenkins was someone doing some stupid stuff. And that's become the meme and the trope. And everyone who thinks about it thinks of that. Someone just basically doesn't even listen, just comes in, runs off, and you're like, and wipes the raid, whether it's in real life or in a game. So
they did get it wrong though. Usually it's a hunter.
All right, next up we have Fallout 76 has given out a roadmap, and the devs have talked about resetting the game. So it's kind of cool. So I'm showing on the screen there their roadmap, okay, because they're talking about seasons. Okay, that's the next thing they're going to be doing now, seasons. So it's kind of cool in that regard is that they are going to try to keep more, and there's even here another picture of things they're planning for. And so they seem to be putting more into this game. So I've been playing it, I've been enjoying it, but ultimately it's going to be nothing to me if we don't actually get other people to play too.
That's
to be
true.
Actual MMO type of game. Okay.
So season's supposed to be like what, their version of Battle Pass, I guess, but for free.
Yes. Good point. Thank you for reminding that.
I'm slightly interested in it just because that one power armor that looks like an astronaut suit, but it's a power armor, but with a retro sci-fi flip to it. Obviously, that was super cool. I was genuinely impressed with that design or their interpretation of a retro, spacesuit.
Yeah. All right. So next up, Guild Wars 2 decided that because the EU servers had a certain amount of issues with regards to a rollback, they gave out free mount skins.
Yep.
That's only EU, but then again, they're the ones who have to deal with it. So,
from what I could tell, I mean, they pretty much were able to fix everybody's account for the most part. Keyword being for the most part. So kudos to them for jumping in on that.
All right. Breen says, by the way, my audio and video for your pain is out of sync. I better fix that at some point. All right. That's everything. Hang on a minute.
No.
Oh my goodness. No, it happens. I hit the wrong button, and so everything, when it closes everything down, when Windows allows you to close everything down at one time,
Right.
Oh man. And Looker says my camera and my voice are desynced. What did I even change that? Oh my goodness.
You're coming out fine on my end.
I mean, my video, my voice, and my
No,
on my
it
stream.
is out of sync.
Really? Not
That's
on.
straight.
Yeah, just barely though.
Just barely. I don't want to
Yeah.
stop the stream for that. So hang on, I'll keep going. Anyways, I'll try to work on it while we're
Okay.
doing something else.
Weird.
The next step is we have I guess a workout now, right? I'm going to change my screens again. The overlay. We have Elder Scrolls Online. Latest trailer for Greymore is out here because Skyrim is coming, and May 26th is when it gets released. And we are very much planning on trying to do a pre-launch party for that game. Dates and times, or date we know is May 26th. Time we hope to do it, in the evening at let's see 8 or 9 p.m. It just depends upon when the actual release happens. So I'm excited about this. I mean, I'm playing ESO. We're gonna get Solomon playing ESO. Looks like
I'll be there.
right.
Total noob
He'll be
though.
there. Yeah. I don't know. I know Lurker has played ESO. Marines, have you been playing ESO at all? So be there. We plan on being there. So this is kind of a cool video. So if you go check it out. Next up, I want to do a quick shout out, only because Respawn Entertainment hit 10 years, and they have put a video out showing what they've done. And it's not MMO show, okay, but it is a wonderful showing of what um IPs they've worked on and done and have shown themselves to be a really decent maker of games. Even though they're tied to EA, but they actually have done really cool things in that regards. Of course, Jedi Fallen Order. I know that those who like mechs, like Solomon, Titanfall, people who also like Apex Legend because it has a Titanfall look to it. So it's kind of cool. All right, so Looker says I'm on BDO now. Laugh out loud. ESO isn't beautiful enough for me.
That's funny.
Fair enough. All right.
It is kind of fair. Like BDO spoiled me in terms of being a graphic snob. It really has.
Well, don't forget, Lurker plays Final Fantasy 14, so there's that. That's why.
Mm.
All right. Next up, that was our daily quest. I delivered them to you. Now comes our delivery quest. This is where we allow Sir Jaziel and Solomon to give us some little bit tips of things that they want to talk about that I may not have had on the notes. So we'll go up with Sir Jaziel first.
Blah blah. Sorry.
Blah, blah.
That's about all I have to say. No, I just kind of threw in there on the notes because we've already had in the notes stuff that I wanted to cover, the big stuff for this week. I was talking with a friend who's still playing World of Warcraft, and he actually plays on both the North American and the Chinese servers, and he sent me over to your favorite site, the Massively OP site, to look at it to just show legitimacy. I don't know why he didn't think I would believe him, because I've seen this on North American servers as well, but apparently there's a huge issue in China. I know everyone's going to laugh because we call them Chinese gold farmers, right? So you would think
China.
China. So what they call it is RMT, which is real money trading, and they actually have bots. Of course, they do it here in North America as well as European servers, as well as the Oceanic servers. But apparently, it's really bad over there in China right now, and they. See, it gets a little complicated here, so I'll try to explain it. NetEase takes care of everything for Blizzard Activision in China. They pretty much oversee everything. They take care of all the nuts and bolts of the game over there. And as we all know, NetEase, love him or hate him, most of us hate him, is just all out just ignoring them. There's a lot of people who think that they have some involvement they're getting kickback from a lot of these companies that are going in there and saying, hey, we're going to be selling services in the game. We'll give you, 5%, 8%, 10% maybe. That's probably too high, but that NetEase is taking some money under the table to allow these bots in the game, and they are just full on not responding to people who are complaining about it, because for those of you who do play the game, you know that we have looking for group and looking for raid, and we also have the custom groups and whatnot. Those lists are completely filled with bots that are advertising, as well as just the spam in the general real chat is just ridiculous. I didn't know how bad it was just by reading that article on Massively OP. I mean, it sounded bad, but when that friend of mine who actually lives in Taiwan was showing me some sharing on Discord his screen, it was horrible. Well, I wouldn't say game breaking, but definitely immersion breaking. To see all of that just spamming on there, he had to make a separate window so that he didn't have to look at all that. Yeah, it was awful. And he said every day he's turned in, well, he claims like up to like 50 of them, trying to get NetEase to do something about it. And apparently everyone's having that issue, and it's there is definitely something going on there. And I don't trust NetEase. And as you guys know, that by what we've talked about with Diablo Immortal, not an MMO, but when we were talking about that some time ago, NetEase is the company that Blizzard Activision have kind of given the license to develop. So and they're known to be a gacha company. They're a company that pushes out a lot of really cheap games that they have a lot of pay to win features in their games. Especially the mobile ones are especially awful. So I feel for them, and it would be really nice. I did see that some people are posting actually on North American forums trying to get Blizzard Activision's attention. Good luck on that, guys.
Right.
Because us North Americans have trouble getting a hold of someone, even on the phone. Well, especially right now, it's impossible. But I have seen it over here, like I started the statement out with. I have seen it over here, but it's nowhere near as bad as what he was sharing on Discord with me yesterday, and even this morning we were doing some chatting, and he showed me the screen again, that it wasn't just a one-off occasion
So what changed? I mean, what was the change
But
or did I miss the part there where you mentioned why this now is becoming an issue? Why it wasn't there before?
because it's just increased and increased and increased in time. That it used to be like you would see one, maybe every 15 to 30 minutes or something would pop up in general chat, and you could just kind of ignore it. And then, of course, people were getting the whispers, which that was fun. That kind of got ridiculous. Even here in North America, I'm not sure about Oceanic, or European, but I know here in North America, I was getting whispered by gold farmers saying, "Hey, come to this website." And it wasn't so bad, though, from what I saw on his screen with the looking for group, looking for raid, and the services that people are selling. Hey, we'll help you, get this ahead of the curve mount, or we'll help you get through Mythic to get, we'll help you get your gear set, or whatever it is that people are looking for. There's just spam everywhere for it. And the problem is that it has gone on for a really long time. and it has increased, and it just, with NetEase not doing anything about it for such a long time, it does. I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, but I kind of think maybe they're getting some kind of kickback. I don't know. It's kind of weird that they would. There's so many ways that they could help alleviate this problem, and they just don't even respond. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm praying for you guys. I don't know what else. I can't do anything for you. I don't work for Blizzard or Activision, and I definitely don't work for NetEase. And I probably wouldn't if they offered me a job. But
All right.
yeah.
Any more notes you have?
No, everyththing else is on our agenda today.
Solomon, time for you to belly up with some notes here for your daily request or delivery requests.
Yeah, so a few things. If you guys didn't know, there are a few free weekends going on right now. As we talked about Fallout 76 earlier, they're having a free weekend up until Monday, so you don't have to spend a penny to play Fallout 76 right now. And if you already have a copy of Fallout 76, it's double XP for you guys as well. There's also going to be a free week rather than a weekend for anyone who's interested in Star Citizen. I know that's a big meme and an inside joke for us in this podcast. But if you always wanted to check out like why I am so interested in the game, and maybe you have a really good PC that can handle the graphics, like I think you would be blown away by the amount of details and just the sheer just the, I don't know how to explain it, the gorgeousness, if that's a word, of the game, which I do really enjoy immersing myself in that world. And they'll have lots of ships for you to play and test out too. How many I don't know, but you could definitely check out more in from the RSI website. And another game that you could actually test out right now too is Conan Exiles, which is their sort of sandbox survival title. Not Conan the what was the other one called? The first came out, the Hyborian Adventures or something.
The Age of Conan.
Oh yeah, the Age of Conan. There you go. Yeah, not that one, but Exiles is free to play this weekend as well. So lots of good stuff going on in terms of free content for MMO players out there. The one thing, or there's two things I wanted to mention. Guild Wars 2 is actually going to be distributed by Tencent in China through their Wii Game platform, which is their version of Steam apparently, which is great. I hope it raises ArenaNet's bottom line, but at the same time, like I don't trust anything. No, well, okay, let me rephrase this. I got to be careful. So I don't trust companies from China insofar as that the way the system of government is set up there, like you have to be in bed with the Chinese government. Like they get, a portion of whatever, or get to decide what the company gets to do because, they want to make sure that the government looks nice or whatever. So that I disagree with. And so, and I mean, again, this isn't a political show, but you guys, I mean, let's face the truth. Like what happened. I mean, the thing that happened with the NBA and Blizzard and a bunch of and Disney last year. So we won't get into that, but just if I bring up those three companies alone, I think you guys know what I'm talking about. So there's that. And on a funny note, there's a lot of people who play Destiny 2 who watches our show. And they recently wrapped up the Guardian games. And they're supposed to, it's a big competition, which class would do the best by doing dailies, grinding, and all that stuff. And they celebrated the wrap up of the Guardian games by providing everybody a statue that's like this big. I saw the statue and I couldn't stop laughing. It's like you had this big like freaking event where you had all these people grinding their butts off to declare themselves the rightful, the best, whatever. And then Bungie's like, here you go.
Yeah.
It was the most pathetic looking statue that I've ever seen.
So for those who aren't following, Yeah, Solomon did mention that on his Coffee and RPG show. So if you're not following on YouTube, go there. You could have seen a picture of it. It was funny. I was watching his show and I'm like, "What? Are you serious?"
You're right.
Wow.
It's,
Okay. I mean,
it's such a pathetic statue for something supposed to be, Anyways, and another thing about Destiny 2 that I found very interesting, but I don't agree with, there, and I understand why. I understand the reasoning behind it, but I still don't agree with it. They're thinking about putting expiration dates on gear. So it will have the power or the stats that it was intended only for a year, and so after a year you'd have to grind again to get that gear again, at its full potential. And they say they did this just so that the game has basically a longer shelf life, and also they also mentioned power creep as well. And those are all really good points, but I'm not playing a game where I have to regrind for a gear that I already gotten.
right.
And
That's true.
Right.
granted, Destiny 2, I don't know how grindy it is because I haven't, like, I played like a day of it and I left, and that was years ago. So I can't tell you how grind intensive it is compared to other MMOs or other online RPGs out there. But there's no way in H that I would play that game, especially if it's grindy as Black Desert Online. It feels that great, and and it's just like, if I have to regrind it, forget it. I'm not playing this game anymore. And I'm afraid it's going to turn off a lot of people because people like having their stats. People want to be able to show it off. And again, maybe the game isn't really that grindy. But from what I can tell, it somewhat is, especially if when I go towards do the high or the end game higher tier level stuff, especially if it requires a power level of over 999 or something like that. So I get it, but I think Bungie has to figure out another way to make their game more have a better replayability than to penalize people for grinding. Even if it is a year. A year is a long time, but time goes by fast. So.
Yeah, I would say Destiny 2 is not as grindy as BDO. It's not as grindy as some other MMOs. That is a frustrating thing to think you did all that work just to find you have a expiration date on your gear.
Right. Like if you were playing an MMO and you had top tier gear, and then you come back to the game like 5 years later and it's not top tier anymore, that's understandable. The game has to evolve, it has to go on. But to just blatantly just have your gear not as lose its stats, I think there's something that feels very wrong about that for whatever reason.
You're right. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the notes, Kay. Next up, we are going to get into our storyline quest. Lore? What lore? No, I'm just... So, New World happens... Oh, hang on a minute. I happen to just... It's an older trailer. It's a year old, but... So, that New World did come out with the latest news, arenas. And we will dive into this in more deeper content on our special New World show, which we're planning for tomorrow, Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific time. The only reason why I wanted to note is the fact that when I read this, I'm like, that didn't necessarily entice me more to play the game. But did you guys get more enticed now because of that particularly? We'll talk more in deep tomorrow, but
not really. I still don't even know what it is. It's like you just
it's arena,
right? But it's just like, okay, you don't like you fight enemies to get a key, and that key has a set of coordinates that you have to go that unlocks the arena where you fight a boss fight. But it's just like, I mean, it's not really. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, it doesn't really blow my mind because we already kind of have things like that in RPGs. So I mean, what's the big deal about this? I mean, is this like end game content, or like is this somehow going to like is this part of the lore, or like tell me how this progresses the game instead of just telling me like, oh, this is something you can do in the game. Yeah, that's great, but you're talking to like this is being marketed towards hardcore MMO and RPG players. Like, tell us something that's going to separate this game from all the other MMOs out there that's already doing the stuff that you said that's so mind-blowing. And I know I'm being a little critical here, but it's just like I feel this was kind of a wasted opportunity, but I don't know, maybe that's just me.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I was not blown away by this latest update. We'll talk about it more in deep tomorrow, but I was like, because they already made the comment before about, oh, they're doing things so differently than the other MMOs, and we're like, have you guys MMO players? Because some things you're talking about have been done before. A little different, maybe, but I mean, obviously, I'm going to give New World a try. It's maybe a little interesting thing, especially considering that if you don't get it done in time, you don't get the gear. That's fine, you know. Do you have
I'm
anything you want
still.
to say?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Uh, it didn't blow me away either. It's been something that I have seen before in other games, and I do appreciate that they, even though they're not necessarily new ideas, they are kind of taking really good ideas from other games and incorporating it into theirs. But I'm still hungering for more PvE content, and the problem with that is that that's not what they're aiming for. That is not what it was in the beginning, and I don't think it's going to end up being PvE or story heavy. I think it's mostly going to be focused on just territory wars, basically. I mean, if you just grill everything down, just boil it all down. It's really about territory wars, and there are things for PvEers to do that I have fun doing in alpha, but um, I just don't know for how long that a PvEer is going to, especially those of us who are really into that, like Solomon said, the RPG aspect of it, the story, the lore, the um, going out and doing those things that a lot of us enjoy doing, like collectibles and transmogs and mounts and pets and whatever else that you enjoy doing in the game. I I know that it's way early. They still have a lot of time to add things to the game. But I don't know. I I think I could have a lot of fun in this game for 3 to 6 months, and then I'm going to be hungering for more, I think, as a PvE focused player.
Right.
But I think that the PvP guys and gals are going to love it. There's a lot of really great stuff in that game. But I'm trying to figure out where this fits in, and like I said, I keep falling back into okay, how does this fit into the lore of this island? Where did this whole idea come? Where does it come into play, and what's the story behind it? And I don't know necessarily that we're going to get that. I think they're just going to kind of throw some things in there and see what's kind of like throwing spaghetti against the wall and seeing what sticks,
Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
But
we'll get more tomorrow, but yeah, that's a good
right.
point. So, and obviously, the things that we say have to be tempered by the things that we can't say.
Right.
All right.
Right.
So, kind of related to that, but not related to that, is another game called Crowfall. And the reason why we mention this because they're very close to beta. The Dregs Guild versus Guild campaign is pointing to beta being right around the corner. So I thought I want to just to briefly mention because Dregs I think is the very thing, the reason why I wanted to play Crowfall in the first place. The Dregs is a key component of what differentiates Crowfall. It is a campaign world that delivers multiple systems that combine to create an innovative and intense war zone, offering players strategic choices at every turn. Bringing the dregs to test was no easy task, as it offers a very competitive experience featuring diverse systems, guild versus guild conquest, city building inside player strongholds, and the divine favor system. All right, sorry, like I say, my camera is still about 2 seconds slower than my audio. 2 seconds, 1, 2. Anyway, so that was that's one. I mean, besides the fact that you can actually build your own house, their own place, you can go back to that, and the fact that you literally can these zones, they will reset every now and then, so that no one guild or alliance will ever always be top, and you can never fight them down. They actually will literally reset a shard or server, and then people start all over again. Now, mind you might still have some people who've been here longer having a leg up on it, but still, I like the fact that you can reset and then get people a chance to go forward once again. So I mean, we're getting close, man. Finally, I mean, it's already a couple years late, but saying and so is Camelot Unchained.
That's right. You're
So
that's right. You're a backer of that.
that's
Wait,
backed up. Yeah.
what games did you back up again? It was Crowfall and there was like 2 other ones, right?
Well, more than that, but Crowfall, Camelot Unchained, Ashes of Creation.
Oh, even
The game
Ashes
that
of
got canceled.
Creation.
Yeah,
Wow.
the game that got canceled. What was that called
Chronicles of
again?
Illyria.
Chronicles of Illyria. Also Dual Universe. Cities of Titans.
Oh, Dual Universe looks awesome. I
Yeah.
really want to play that game.
Yeah, so that I mean, I don't know if are you guys both interested in playing Crowfall or are going to be playing Crowfall when it comes out? Or do you guys back it or not?
I didn't back it. I was interested in it, but I think it'll do. I'm so on the fence about it that I think it'll just depend on which friends go try it out, and I'll go try it out with them because
Yeah.
it's just kind of one of those games that, again, it's got these interesting elements, but I've seen them in other games, and I don't know. I don't know what to think about it yet.
Yeah. What's
But
interesting
as
is
far as the world being wiped and having to start over again, I was a big Rust player for a while there, and of course Rust did that as well. And then you and I, Ken, we played Outlaws of the Old West. That kind of did that same thing. It was different atmosphere, being a cowboys kind of era, mid 1800s thing, which man, I wish that had taken off. That was a pretty cool game, but that's neither here nor there. But I might try it because I do like to, even if I know that it's probably not going to be something I'm going to play long term. I like to give it a try and see. I've been surprised by games in the past, and
yeah.
so yeah, we'll see.
The biggest thing you mentioned was other MMOs have done similar or like it. And when I first I kickstarted Camelot Unchained because of Mark Jacobs. But the other ones I kickstarted because they offered something I wanted I didn't see in other MMOs. But as time goes on, but I keep delaying, waiting for this game to come out. Somebody else has already done it, and you're like, oh, well, you're behind
Right.
now.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Well,
we are going to go. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say that's been the problem with a lot of these games, especially the ones you just talked about that you backed. Some of them I backed as well, and hopefully Chronicles isn't completely dead. But
I'm hoping it's not
Okay, it's
either,
not.
but I'm not
I've
gonna
got
hold my
my
breath.
fingers and my toes crossed, but I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah,
We'll put it
same,
that way.
same. And real quick, Crowfall's is the Voxel MMO, right? Or Voxel? I keep saying Voxel, right? With the destructible environments. I could have sworn Crowfall had destructible environments, right?
Yes. I mean, the idea is that you go into it and you can start, mining stuff, rocks and different things to build stuff out of it. Yeah, I don't know if that's in the area where I think you can actually start your character, but also where you can maybe build your cast. Yeah, I mean you go in and you smash the rocks, then you go and start making your weapons, and at least that's why I tried in the alpha at one point.
All right, just asking.
Because I said I want those kind of games. I mean, I want an MMO. That's why I Fallout 76. I want an MMO where I can destroy, build stuff in it. Yeah. So Lurker says I think MMOs fall into a weird category where you need cool mechanics to make it stand out, but you need a cooperative player base to make some mechanics work. And getting those two in one MMO just doesn't seem to happen. Yep.
And mix that in with PvP,
which is why some of these game companies did the Kickstarter. They want their player base to be involved in the development of the project.
right?
Like me, every month, pretty much, Crowfall has a once a month Q&A, and they give you what's going on. They've been very. They say Mark Jacobs has been very open about stuff going Camelot Unchained, and that's where it's like, Yeah, I mean, what Looker says is very true. All right. Next up, we have some escort quests. Okay, so this is where we're going to do some. We're going to lead you to safety and some experience points and the adventure of a lifetime.
Whee!
Well, okay, these are different viewpoints things. So MMORPG, one of the sources that I read, but also one I know Solomon reads too when he does his show. One of the authors proposed 5 historical era settings that he would love to see in an MMO. He mentioned Roman Republic, ancient Egypt, the Mongol Empire, the Napoleonic Wars, and Viking England. All of which, when I read, going, yeah.
There is
yeah.
there is a Viking one. Sorry to cut you off, but it's not that popular, and I forgot even what the title was.
Yeah, you're right.
Let me look it up. Hang on. But sorry, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, so the question I have for you guys, okay, and myself too, I guess, is what historical era would you like to see in the MMO?
Does Star Wars count? Because it happens a long, long time ago.
So,
I mean, you have that.
I know. I'm just kidding.
So New World reminds me that we are in a game that is a somewhat historical era. I mean, they technically are people who are using, or they look Spanish conquistadors. You know, their helmets and equipment, whatnot.
I feel like
so. Lurker says the Roman Republic.
That's where I'm at.
Not
I really
the Roman Empire, Roman Republic. Okay.
Yeah, I think at the height of. Yeah, that would be kind of cool, actually.
Because
during the time of Alexander the Great would be just epic, I think. I know that we've got that in single player games in the past, but as an MMO, man, that'd be pretty cool, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
So of those 5, was there anyone that was missing? I mean, when I read this, I'm like, ancient Greece, like he mentioned the fact that, Assassin's Creed Origins is in ancient Egypt. We know that Assassin's Creed Odyssey is in ancient Greece. The Mongol Empire was that I hadn't quite thought about. Napoleonic Wars in Viking England. Definitely, I mean, like Looker said, the Roman Republic, not Roman Empire, Roman Republic. Like the upsurge of what Rome did before Caesar became emperor and changed the landscape.
I mean, I really think during the time of Alexander the Great would probably be the best place to put that, as far as something that wasn't mentioned.
Yeah, I like that. It's a good idea. You could bring in the mythology and have some magic if you wanted to. Still play in the time frame, and if you wanted to do extra class stuff, not just warriors but other things.
Well, maybe. I mean, they did have, with all the gods and whatnot, they sought favor, and I suppose that you could play into that a little bit, but yeah, I don't know any other time period that hasn't already been done to death. I mean, the World Wars have been done to death, and not with MMOs though. So that is a different, because we've had, of course, Call of Duties and Battlefields and all that kind of stuff, and I don't necessarily think like the American Civil War would be all that fun to do an MMO of, or I mean, as an FPS, yeah, absolutely, but as an MMO, nah.
Maybe you just got to put a steampunk twist to it, alternate reality.
You could.
Well, that's why the Napoleonic era, like wars, kind of makes sense. Early 1800s, prior to Civil War, kind of gives you a little bit like, But you, Solomon, is there anything you thought would be historical you wanted to see?
Well, I didn't read that particular article, but was it like suggesting like really sticking to the source material as a historical MMO?
I didn't read that. I mean, I skimmed over it.
Because I think
it was more placing into it, not just.
Personally, I think they all be boring. Like if you were just going to stick with just the history, like I think you need to have some creative leeway and like use some, again, creative interpretation, put a spin on things with, using some magic, using some unrealistic things. You could be steampunk, maybe a cyberpunk Mongolian empire or something. I don't know. Sounds stupid,
What?
but I mean, yeah, like what? That's interesting. I never heard that before, and I think that would definitely just allow people to want to play it. But yeah, but as opposed to just Mongolian empire MMO, like okay, so like what? It's just like that to me is just a little boring. And so I figured, like, if I were to do it, like, I'd be down with any of those, but it just needs to have a twist, like an extra oomph that makes me really want to play it. Because I mean, history is fun and all, but when you're going to use it in terms of a video game, especially an MMORPG, it just sounds boring. It's not a History Channel thing, or
That's right.
What's his name, the documentary filmmaker that did all the Civil Wars and stuff.
Ken Burns.
Yeah, Ken Burns. Like, those are interesting because you're there for a specific reason, to learn and just like to really immerse yourself in his narrative. Whereas an MMO, I mean, I don't think it really translates that well to have like a Ken Burns documentary version of an MMORPG of the Civil War. I could be wrong. I could be just spewing a bunch of garbage. I will admit that.
That's
but
fine. Well, I'll give you. I'll read the portion from the article about Roman Republic. Most people would center on the Roman Empire because it's mainly what they're taught about in school. Yet this period is inspired by one of my favorite podcast series, Hardcore History. Dan Carlin has a whole series on the downfall of the Roman Republic, and that would be the time period I would love to see in an MMO. The empire itself is fascinating for sure, but seeing how the civil wars of Rome destroy the Republic would be something that not really explored in most mediums. MMOs have explored Rome before with Roma Victor, but it was short-lived and the setting has barely been touched since then in any real way by MMOs devs. I could also allow for a little bit of revisionist history if set during the time period of Pompey the Great versus Julius Caesar. Players could take sides fighting in either general's army in PvP battles that would span the Mediterranean, and who knows, maybe Pompey rises to the top this time.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Well,
I feel like that's too
now,
dangerous.
Addressing Solomon, though, why couldn't it be something along the lines of I know this is an early adult book series, but like Percy Jackson, where the gods are real and they are still interacting with the humans, and they had demigods or half breeds or whatever you want to call them that are children and grandchildren, great grandchildren, that are that's your character, is you are half mortal and half god or whatever, and you get to pick which one, and then that kind of is your class or whatever, where you have water powers or electricity or whatever. And so you're taking that fantasy and putting into a historical period of time, and thus it's not really giving you a history lesson, and you're still going to have that element there, but you can have real locations and real monuments and things that were during that time period. And I still think that would be like a really great time period to dabble in and to see what we could do. But I don't know. I almost feel like the games that are not based on Earth do better. World of Warcraft, it's better off being its own little thing. And
so Lurker made a comment
and stuff like that.
Lurker's other pick was the Three Kingdoms period of China.
That might be interesting, but even then, like the games that we had so far, like Dynasty Warriors is based on that, and even then they had their creative interpretations, huge creative interpretations.
That's
See,
my problem. Is
I
what would
can't
make it
picture
different.
anybody. Right. I can't. The thing is, I can't picture anybody taking an MMO and literally being historical. You would have to stretch it. Okay. Like example, as Lurker made a
Right.
comment. Oh, ancient Greece, where you align with a god, and that's your class.
Yeah.
Because I can't picture MMOs be just being historical. That's like you said, we have strategy games like that. Can you imagine? And that's fine, single player games or even multiplayer games. But to jump into an MMO to grind your character up as a class, whether you're crafting or not, to what? I mean, I know that New World's talking about their whole overall, like I said, they're not realm versus realm, but kind of like a faction versus faction type thing and conquering stuff. And same we mentioned with regards to Crowfall, people going in and fighting and getting out your PvP frustrations and conquering stuff. I just can't picture that any MMO would be just historical because it turns like, wow, can you imagine a game of just history?
Right.
I mean, and like I said, we've already seen it with Assassin's Creed. That's been mentioned. There's been several time periods covered with those games, pretty excellent as well. And then we've had the Total War series that have covered some of the different ideas that we've put out here tonight. So it's like, yeah, those are single player games, but I just don't see them translating into a full scale MMO really well, other than like I said, if you interject, like I said, the Percy Jackson idea where your children or grandchildren of the gods or whatever, or just a follower of a god, and even that idea's been done before on single player games. So it's like, do people really want to? I don't think any of them would float.
I think the answer would be is they people would like it, people would love it,
Yeah.
but if you don't do it right, New World to me is right now. I mean, no, they mentioned other games, but New World right now is the closest right now to a real world time period, conquistador type of time frame, and
Right.
yet there's already something out there, the corruption and whatnot. So there's a story, and that's ultimately I think any MMO can't just be historical. It's got to be more to it because then you're like, why bother? You want to play the game for the fantasy aspects of it. I get, like you said, we've already talked about. They're giving up their first person players. If you want to do the history thing, you can do it.
Well, I mean, people play that. I even played it for a while on the farm simulator. Like, most people would look at that and go, "Why in the world would you want to play a video game where you are working a farm?" But for some reason, it's really relaxing and fun.
I'd rather do Minecraft than that. If you knew I got killed by a Reaper. But you're right. I mean, I
Yeah.
played that game and I'm like, no, I've done Sim Farm, I've done other farming things, but no, that similar thing is like, no, I don't need this. But you're right. I mean, for people, it is relaxing. That's good.
I feel like
All
the
right,
whole thing
so
is an entire real quick is a bit of a gamble, bit of a risk more so than other games because like look what happened to Battlefield 5. You had a game that's supposed to take place during World War II, but they showcased this bionic woman out in the front lines holding a machine gun with a mechanical arm. And it's just like you're again, I was talking with somebody in my chat, and they made a good point. Haters gonna hate, but again, it's just you gotta take these things very delicately because there's a certain like you're catering to a certain your fans, especially at that point when you get to part 5. But maybe they would have a little bit more leeway if it was a completely brand new IP. So I mean, so I do have my biases when it comes to that, but yeah, when it comes to historical games in general, not just MMORPGs, it's just too risky for me because you're always gonna run into people that's gonna scream cultural appropriation and stuff like that, and it's just like,
Oh, well.
I hadn't thought about that.
right?
Crap.
And
Yeah.
so
You're right, but how much do we want about it? That
right, exactly. And so that's why I'm like, you guys do you. Again, haters gonna
Right.
hate. Blah blah blah. Let's move on.
Absolutely.
All right, we've escorted you to safety. You got some XP. All right, and hopefully you can talk about the adventure of a lifetime on your next broadcast or YouTube or tweet. Sorry. Anyways, now we have some class quests. Okay, so we've chatted about in the past about what would be kind of cool of a real life job in a game. We talked about other things in regards to I don't know, races, whatnot. But this one was, I thought would be kind of cool. Was what has been your favorite class to play in an MMO? And then, whatever the class is, you're like, oh yeah, I love playing a bard in Hearts of Camelot. What MMO would you have loved that class to be part of, be able to port into, or be a class in the game that you wished, oh my goodness, I'm playing Star Wars Old Republic, I wish I had a bard. Solomon, what about you?
Oh, that's the fondest memory of any class that I ever played in any MMO is the engineer from Guild Wars 2, and I wish they had more of that. The only game that they had something remotely similar was Tabula Rasa, which also had an engineer where you could set up turrets and stuff and have like pet robots and everything. But that came first before Guild Wars 2. But regardless, I think the engineer on Guild Wars 2 was pretty solid. Because you could be a DPS class, you could be a support class. I don't think you could really be a healer, but and you can't be a tank. But it was, I mean, utility was like basically the status quo for that. If there was going to be a utility class, it was definitely the engineer, because I mean they kind of go together in my opinion somehow. I don't know why. So if there's one class that I wish more games would do, it'd be something similar to an engineer. Sorry, what was the first question?
What's your favorite class? I was like, what was your favorite class to play in any MMO?
Yeah, I'd still have to say that. Like again, even
Okay.
playing with playing Black Desert as I am right now, fishing and all that stuff. Even after playing Star Wars Old Republic, like everybody wanted to be a Sith or a Jedi, which is really cool. Again, I will admit, playing Aeon, playing World of Warcraft up until a certain point, playing all these other MMOs. Yeah, the engineer definitely stuck out in my mind after all these years.
Yep. What did you say, Jazio? What's your favorite class to play in any MMO? And what game would you love to see that class in that you didn't see it in?
The problem with my favorite class is usually in the games, because my favorite is almost always a sorcerer or mage or wizard, magician, whatever they want to call it. So it's usually in there. But
Okay.
I will agree that what I see missing from a lot of games is absolutely one that Solomon mentioned. I love that engineer class. It was so fun in
Yeah.
Guild Wars 2. Now, I of course had a little bit more fun with my necromancer, but I loved that you could just build these little contraptions and build bombs and build all this stuff and use it to defend yourself and to help others around you in your group. Uh, do pretty much anything. You had things that could heal you. You had things that would do damage over time, things that would explode and do huge amounts of damage, and things that would pew pew. It was just fun. It was really fun. And I would say the other utility would be, like you said, the bard. I remember playing, it wasn't my main, I was a cleric main in EverQuest, but I did play around with and got max level at the time. Now it's not, but with a bard, and they couldn't do anything on their own, although not many people did stuff on their own in EverQuest. That was you either had a group or you didn't play the game. But it was just a great feeling, like being the tank or the healer. It was just as much a great feeling that you were needed, that they had to bring at least one of your class, or that raid was not going to succeed. They needed the buffs that you provided. They needed the debuffs for the mobs that they were going after and whatnot. And yeah, sure, you weren't putting out DPS. You weren't going to be at the top of any healing charts or anything like that. But if they didn't bring you, they were not going to beat that boss, period. And I really, you don't see those kind of things, because games now want you to be self-sufficient. They want you to be able to go out, and if you want to solo, they want you to be able to solo. And that was the problem with the bard, is it was pretty tricky. Now, I was able to successfully kite stuff around and just work it down. I could pull like, 10 mobs and just put a speed boost on and then put a damage over time on and work them down over a certain period of time. And of course, as I got higher level, I was able to pull even more, and it was just crazy. People would actually come and watch me run around the trees over and over like it was NASCAR or something, and just watch the mobs drop and just be like, I wish I could do that. But I don't know, man. I think it'd be kind of cool to see those kind of just utility based characters put back into the games again and
Yep.
experimented with. And I think if you're willing to put the time in, like I said, not everybody could do that. A lot of people tried to do that and they said, oh man, that's just that's too hard. If a mob catches up to you, they club you a couple times, you're dead because you're not a tank, you're not a healer, you're relying on the instruments that you're playing or whatever. But yeah, that's what I would say. It'd be nice to see Bard or Engineer. Man, that Engineer, Solomon's right. That was so fun. You played one.
Right. Matter of fact, I think
Yeah,
the only other game that I know that has an engineer is Anarchy Online. They're probably the first MMO to do
Hmm.
it. Anyways.
I think they were. Yeah. They're the
Yeah,
first. Anarchy Online's the first one I remember an engineer in.
Yeah. I think so too.
both of those are good. I've heard Bard. People mention bards. They wish they'd seen it in other games. I didn't play a bard. Not in Camelot. I played a paladin. I play right now a Templar in ESO, liking it. I also like playing the paladin in WoW because I can tank and heal. I like that dual class. But I did a druid. My druid is like my main, you might say, in World of Warcraft. The tank and DPS. Even though if I wanted to, I could respec it to be a healer too. But those things I wanted, I can find in other games. Like I said, there are multiple classes similar like that. But the things that I've heard about mostly people talking about was Bard, and now I hear about Engineer too. That's really cool. I think both those classes should be. I think that other games should think about putting it into their games themselves.
I agree.
I mean,
I
I
know people.
think
Sorry, go ahead.
both of those would fit into New World really well. Wink, wink.
Yeah, I
Oh, I
some
know.
people love doing the dancer in Star Wars Galaxy. It's a huge
There's always a
I
dancer.
was the dancer on there. I made a lot of
Always
money,
a
boys.
dancer.
And I know that I don't know if Lurker's still there. Final Fantasy 14 definitely has some classes people really liked about it. I forget which one it was. I didn't play all of them because you can basically be any class you want to, and that one character can
Right.
spec yourselves in any way you want to. All right, that's it for our class quest. We are now into world events because after all, you got to plan for these world events. Don't just pop up now and then. Well, they do pop up now and then, but you have ready for them. And so we have two of them. One, of course, is May 26th. We're doing the Elder Scrolls Online Greymore pre-launch party. Right now, I say we're talking about 8 p.m. Eastern time. No, I meant Pacific time. 8 p.m. Pacific time. Okay, and we're going to be doing an intro, then deep diving into the game itself, and then going and playing it. And joining us with this, we already two of us are already part of a guild anyway. So our morning song. And then on August 25th, again about 8 o'clock, Pacific time, is the New World pre-launch party. It was supposed to be May 26th, so we're swapping out because New World was delayed. But then again, so was ESO, but only by a week or so. So those are two world events you want to put on your calendar. More to come. And if you have any questions, you can always DM, whisper, whatever you want to do it to any one of us. All right. We have finished up our session. You're getting ready to log off. But before you do that, you got to make sure you're either in the inn, if you're in WoW, if you're still leveling up so you can get rested XP. Want to make sure you're in a safe spot because if you do log off in the wrong spot, when you clock in the next time, you're immediately being whacked upon by somebody, or you may find out you're a ghost because you died as you're logging out. All right. So Solomon, what MMOs are you playing, and where can we find you at?
Still playing. I mean, fishing. Still fishing. What's new, right? Still fishing in Black Desert Online. AFK fishing. I still dabble in Star Wars: The Old Republic. Although, the there are. I mean, I kind of want to get into Fallout 76. You know, I really yearn
Dream play this
to.
weekend.
Yeah, exactly. And again, you know, I'm a huge fan of retro science fiction, not actual like. Well, actually, I'm a fan of that too. But like when I say retro sci-fi, no, that's not the term they use. They use the term retrofuturism. I think that's the term to describe games like Fallout. If I remember my terms correctly. And yeah, I just want to play like just something from, you know, post World War II era. I have the desire to play something like that again with that aesthetics, with the deco art, the noir films, you know. So I might give that a try again. But other than that, yeah, it's still pretty much the same. You can find me at YouTube on Coffee and RPGs, and hopefully people are watching that from there as soon as this uploads to that. And again, you can find me on Solomon SK at Twitch and also on Instagram as well.
All right. So look around. I didn't know this. I don't play BDO, but apparently you never log off.
Me?
So
Yeah.
I'm logging off BDO. So
yeah, that's why
I log off BDO. So sorry.
That's why on Discord, you know, it's always saying I'm playing BDO if I'm not playing it on my laptop, and people are like, you know, oh, why, you know, we see you playing BDO. I was like, no, I'm actually not playing it. I'm just, it's just, you can minimize it, you know, and it'll still say that you're playing BDO when I'm not.
All right, Sir Jaziel, where can you find you at, and what MMO are you playing?
At Sir Jaziel on Twitch, Twitter, and Discord. And that's pretty much it. Right now, I'm just playing Elder Scrolls Online primarily. I am, of course, alpha testing a game, and then I am also I've hopped on to Guild Wars 2 a couple of times just to see what new stuff is on the game since I left. But I end up not staying on terribly long because I'm like in this mode right now. I want a 100% ESO, so I've been spending a lot of time trying to do all the quests in every zone and unlock every area and do all that stuff. But yeah, that's where you can find me most of the time, is on Elder Scrolls Online right now. And I have been working on that podcast, and I finally got the shirt. Finally got my own shirt.
Oh, your own shirt.
Yeah. So this is pretty nice. It's pretty comfortable. I like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about it for me.
Right. Excellent. So I'm Kennethan. Obviously, you're watching us right now on Twitch. You got my channel, but you can follow me on Twitter on Kennethan Live. I'm Kennethan64 on YouTube. So I couldn't quite get Kennethan everywhere. I've been playing several MMOs. Obviously, Elder Scrolls Online. Been playing a little more tonight. I've been playing Champions Online. My good friend Not Fred every Tuesday. I've been playing Fallout 76. You might not classify as MMO because it's not really massive, 24 kills per shard. But then you can, I don't know. And also alpha testing a game that I haven't played for over a week because I keep waiting for the beta. But that's going to be later on. But anyways, that's where I can find me at. So thank you everyone for joining us for this week's the Trinity MMO Show. We shall be back next week for another grand adventure. And don't forget, tomorrow, New World at 4 p.m. Pacific time, if we make it all happen. We're going to have a special show just on New World, kind of get caught up on the things that we've been talking about. We've been chatting, some of us have been chatting it based on Jafar, the bad guy from Aladdin show, but just other stuff too, because we can't always make the time frame work for joining him. So we're going to do our own. So there we go. Have a good one. God bless you guys, and we'll see you around.
Bye, everyone. Cheers again, everyone.
Cheers.
Empty glass.
Oh, empty glass.
My beer is empty, yeah.